So this is the lighter side. It's the lighter side of a very heavy topic, and today we have a special program for you guys because I am not going to do the talking. I have a special guest. Jeremy is not only a good friend now after a few years of knowing him and shooting the breeze and talking about his experience and his overall dramatic change in life. We also have something very interesting, which is somebody who's become an ambassador for health, for metabolic wellness. And it just came to happen simply because you start getting this not change just in the physical and in your whole physiology, but from a mental aspect as well. So, dude, it's good to see you.
Great to see you too, doctor.
All right, so this is not the first time we do an interview, but how long has it been since you had surgery?
It was just over 2 years ago. It was April 25th, 2 years ago.
And I just saw you and said hi, and I'm like, damn, I'm envious.
Feel great.
How much have you lost?
My lowest was 150 pounds. I've crept up a little bit, but going to the gym, I've gained muscle.
That's good. That's good.
So 142 pounds.
Son of a gun. 150 total pounds weight loss. And that's one of the interesting things that when you look online, there's a lot of misinformation out there that says, well, no, if you want to lose over 100 pounds, don't get this surgery, get that surgery. Did you get that type of info online?
I did. There's a lot of confusing information, and they'll try to tell me, this was just me researching, Googling, trying to figure it out as just a person. And yeah, everybody was, all these surgeries, I didn't know what they were, and I wasn't sure.
And get the more aggressive surgery. Yes, you're gonna get the more aggressive surgery, you're gonna lose a lot of weight. Yeah, but you're gonna lose a lot of lean mass and hair and a tooth or two. But yeah, he lost 10 more pounds. So how did we were talking about, you did your research online and you knew none of our patients.
I didn't know, I'd never heard of Obesity Control Center. I started researching online, just started with a Google search. I knew somebody that had come to Mexico for bariatric surgery, but not really well. So I started looking and I found all kinds of information. I found good information and bad information. And part of what drew me to OCC was the amount of content. And there was good content and there was videos. I had surgical fear, nobody had cut into my body before. And I liked the videos, seeing, oh, wait a minute, here's a guy, and you did most of the videos and Lucia did something, that I started building this rapport with. And it's like, well, is this guy as good as he says? So research, Joint Commission was a big part of it, because I know it from the US side of JACO accredits hospitals. Yeah. And with my agency, I've had to go through a similar type of thing where it's an invasive, it's very hard to get accredited through these big.
So what do you do? Do you have some type of?
I own an addiction counseling agency and a testing lab, which primarily employment drug testing, hair follicle testing for drugs. Mostly it's drugs of abuse that I test for.
So you're in the healthcare community, and when you say JACO, for those that don't even know it, it's that golden seal that says we're held to the highest standard, and they don't care that you're in Mexico. We're held to the highest standard. But it's interesting that we were talking right now and you said, all right, he's got that seal, but then you actually clicked on it and you were expecting it to take you back to the, tell me about that.
Well, I'm a trust but verify guy. And so there was a link to the JACO, and I could do that. But with spoofing and things, I just wasn't sure. So I exited out of the OCC page. I went to the JACO page, and you can look up accredited agencies on the JACO page. And so I back searched it, and boom, there it was. Yeah. So it's like, okay, everything matches and things. Because again, this is me, being skeptical before I knew the.
Dude, it's good because we were just talking about that as well. Down here, we started this 25 years ago, and I gotta say I was at the right time and right place because, well, obesity was barely becoming this issue, international issue for Mexico, US. On the other hand, I had just finished my residency and I started doing weight loss surgery, and we were 5 people doing weight loss surgery back then, 5 in the whole continent. And I was hired by as a consultant to develop the new techniques. Then I traveled all around the US, Canada, training surgeons on the newer techniques of weight loss surgery, stuff like that. And it started to grow. Of course, obesity and metabolic disease started to grow as well. And we've been doing this for 25 years, 25,000 patients later. We've trademarked procedures, patented devices. We've launched devices into get FDA approval and get their IPO. I mean, we've really been involved. And as you know, I care for my patients deeply. Absolutely. And I make long-lasting, not just commitments, long-lasting relationships where, dude, I mean, you've got my cell phone, you can call me whenever, shoot the breeze. Now we're talking about helping another type of community up in the States. But then you've got all these mom and pop shops that are opening shop down here, competing with price. Because they can't compete with quality simply because, well, it's kind of expensive. And then folks ask, usually my patient care coordinators, why are you guys more expensive than so-and-so? It's like, well, I'd rather you do your homework. I'm not gonna tell them anything else because this is not about self-promotion. People that are already coming into Mexico are saving a good amount of money simply because there's not this overhead, because the cost of care is a lot less. Doesn't mean that the quality is not there. It's as good or even better, and probably you can attest to that. Yeah, there's people get swayed from their, what do you want to call it, common sense, and they end up in these bad places. And you were telling me a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, I've known of a person who had gotten surgery down here, and it turns out it was done by a dentist who had set up a bariatric surgery. Yeah. She was unaware of that until afterwards. She probably saved 20% of what it was, but in the long run, the complications, the drains, the infection at ports, and things like that, that she had to pay a lot of money in the US to get that done. I wouldn't be surprised, I don't follow her too closely. We're not super tight friends, but I wouldn't be surprised if she's had to get a revision because of this. But I know that just the deal where here, I had no drain was required for me. I don't know, maybe some people need them, but I didn't.
Extremely rare, yeah.
There was no infection, initially I was worried about scars. Those went away, I mean, it took time, 6 months later, they fade away or whatnot, but where that wasn't her experience at all. And my thought was, being used to the US medical system, it's like, how would a dentist ever do surgery? Or do non-dental surgery, I should say. And realizing that sometimes people can manipulate a system that I'm not familiar with.
And it's not just in Mexico, it's everywhere. You can even find that in the US, but here it's really simple. They all want a piece of the pie, so what do they get? They open up a center, a clinic. Doesn't have to be a hospital, a small little clinic. And they're gonna, because they're competing with price, what they do is they advertise the lowest price online. And that's how they get their patients. So you might say, I'm gonna charge you $10 for this. They're gonna charge 2 or 3. And I can't purchase my equipment, the stapling devices I use, or the cautery units, or just the devices for what they're charging for the whole surgery. Sure. And then, of course, if you look online, you're gonna find that they're using that from Asian knockoffs to non-approved devices. They're reusing devices. Sometimes they're using devices not made for humans. I mean, it's bad. Right. And I don't understand, well, I do understand, it's about hope. People look to Mexico for hope, and then they find organizations and they say, well, I already found this one. Well, why not save a couple of more bucks and go with that one over there? And that hope turns into, less than ideal results frequently. And I end up having to take these patients back in, and in the best of circumstances, I end up having to revise their surgery. I mean, go cheap once, pay double in the long run. And it's not worth it. Now, let's change channels here and let's talk about your experience. 142 pounds is easier said than done, but it seems that you've risen to the challenge, you've used the tool wisely, but you also have certain backgrounds that have helped you take this to the next level.
Sure, and I think that being an addiction professional helps in applying some of that to food. If I were to treat somebody with alcoholism, though, I say, let's set up a way to eliminate alcohol from your life. Well, I can't eliminate food from my life.
Exactly.
You know, it's like
that is so precise. I mean, alcohol, you don't need to have it every day to live, but with food, it's
required. It is required. And so shifting gears sort of there is, I call it reframing. You know, I had to look at food way differently. In working with Lucia and some of the program, you know, protein, fiber, fat, how am I going to look at, you know, some of these things? And I remember protein, fiber, fat, that's, oh, this is a little cliche. Well, I realize now when I look at labels, which I look at labels, you know, am I hitting my protein goals? Am I hitting my, you know, good healthy fats? Am I, you know, how am I doing that? And you know, so reframing what I'm doing and readdressing why am I eating, you know, because obesity is malnutrition. So often I thought in my mind that malnutrition was something where you see people starving to death and weighing 50 pounds, where it's like, no, malnutrition, obesity is one of the worst malnutrition. So where am I getting this food? How am I doing it? Today, I buy ingredients. I don't buy food that's just throw it in the microwave and go. I have to plan my food. But that was part of the deal that I made with myself by coming here and doing this, because surgery is a pretty drastic measure.
Definitely.
But by you doing that, you're giving me a gift to then, what am I going to do with it? You know, it's like, what are you going to do with your gift? And by putting good things in me is by doing it. And in changing my relationship with food. I remember hearing about Lucia talking about the carbohydrate withdrawal. And I was early on, this is before I had really started my pre-op, and I think, really, what? That just sounds funny. And I realized I went through a carbohydrate withdrawal with simple carbohydrates, you know, the junk food, the cookies and candies and things. By eliminating those, going through that, realizing I don't want to do that anymore.
Now, I got to ask the question, do you crave it? Do you still, is there something in your body that says, or have your taste buds dramatically changed?
I believe my taste buds have completely changed. My craving for foods is much different. I don't crave sweets nearly as much. This happened not too long ago. I usually put a little bit of some coconut in some Greek yogurt that I eat, and it's sort of a treat I eat at night. That's my dessert, is some Greek yogurt with organic coconut flakes, and it's unsweetened coconut. Well, I ran out of my coconut, and I'm like, darn. I saw in the cupboard there was a little bit of leftover, probably from a holiday, of sweetened coconut flakes. I put sweetened coconut flakes, figured that would be good. It's far too sweet for me.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, I could have eaten that out of the bag just as a treat. Now, I can't eat sweetened coconut because it's too sweet. Never thought that would have happened to me.
Now you've become quite the chef, I understand?
Well, I think I've always been handy in the kitchen anyway.
Yeah.
I've done a few videos that I've posted on the Facebook page. One was artichokes, artichokes are a superfood.
Yeah, I gotta watch that video, because I see artichokes and I'm like, just scratching my head. What the hell do I do with this?
Right. They're tough to cook. They take a long time to cook. I use an Instapot to cook them.
Yeah.
But part of the encouragement, especially early when COVID first happened, people are stuck at home. What do? You know, am I going to throw my diet away to get comfort food to do that? And my thought was like, maybe I could do a few recipes. And before my sister came down for her surgery, I posted a ricotta bake. You know, that some people after bariatric surgery they like, and I baked it in a little ramekin, and I posted that video too. You know, with some but the recipe in this little teeny portion, and she cooked it and loved it and things like that. But it's to show people, it's like a little bit of planning. You know, set yourself up for that good food that's going in, and I've adapted many recipes kind of for the bariatric type of model. I don't struggle with my protein intake during the day, because I eat what I need to, and over time, my stomach has kind of grown to what I like to think of as just a normal sized stomach. I think my stomach, I assume that you probably had to have a wheelbarrow to take my stomach out.
More or less, yeah. It was bad.
But
You were a big dude, man.
oh yeah, 317 pounds.
Yeah.
It was just like, I can't imagine myself that big. I look at the pictures and it's almost embarrassing, but in an empowering way. It's just like, oh, how did I let that happen? One bite at a time. How did I let it happen? Well, my body was hijacked by non-nutritious food.
Yeah, and it's easy to get lost in this world of, so one of the things that I tell all patients is like, look, let's start a step at a time. Our philosophy is to decarb you, to detox you, and to replenish your gut. And those are the three major things that we believe and that are science-backed, because there's been years and years of studies that say that fat is bad for you, and they finally found out that that's not true.
Right.
Fat is actually good for you. It's pretty dense in calorie, and calories in, calories out really isn't the truth. I mean, you can eat same amount of calories from fat or from carbs, but carbs are going to stimulate insulin, and insulin's going to trap your fat. So you'll never be able to burn it. That's why we always want to decarb your body. But the other thing is that with this metabolic disease rampant around the world, it's an epidemic. Obesity being an epidemic, there's got to be some factor which is in the environment. It can't just be that we suddenly all got fat. So we believe, and the science agrees, that it's the toxicity of the food we eat. Not meaning the toxicity per se of the food, but what the food is tainted with. Pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, chemical fertilizers, plastics, and the list goes on. Now, there's stuff we can avoid and stuff we can't. We can't avoid the air we breathe because it's contaminated, and you can't separate that now. There's a lot of stuff that we use that you can kind of avoid from a chemical standpoint when you take a bath, with the water that you consume, etc. But there's stuff you can avoid just depending on what you're eating. And I always tell my patients, eat organic, grow your own, know your grower, be a little bit more picky, and try to recognize the food in your plate, which means what you just said. I buy ingredients and I prepare food. I don't let somebody else get the ingredients, mix it into something, and then make it into something that looks like food. So patients, I tell them, keep away from processed foods. Is there a sense of well-being or a sense of wellness? Has your body, has your mind changed with eating this way, with eating healthier?
Absolutely. I think my outlook on my longevity is a big portion. Where I think when I was young and didn't care as much about what I put in my, just go to a drive-through and just put food in, even if maybe I wasn't hungry or things like that. But now I think, I heard somebody talk about their legacy. What's your legacy in life? And it's like, well, I don't really care about what happens after I'm here. I want the best here I can have. And where with relatives and kids, I can play in the park. I can go running. I've run races. I do things. So my longevity, meaning, it's like I want a good, long, healthy life, and not a slow, miserable death.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where we're at, man. With all this disease, it's either long life or a slow death. You got that one right. And there's been dramatic weight loss, and everybody asks about the durability of the procedure. And as you know, our procedure is actually trademarked, U.S. Trademarks and Patents Office, because we're always looking on how to improve what's already good out there. So we decided that we were going to improve the basic standard gastric sleeve and make it safer, make it more effective, and make it more durable. And I have patients that are out 7 up to 10 years out at their goal weight. Now, everybody's going to experience a little bit of weight gain after a certain amount, but then it stabilizes. Have you experienced the same thing?
Well, my mild weight gain has been related exactly, though, when I look at it, to my time at the gym and with the classes I'm doing at the gym. And, so I'm noticing, as I'm rebuilding muscle, so there has been some coming up. But when I'm hungry, I front load my plate at home with lots of vegetables. I eat all my vegetables and whatnot first, big salad, all these leafy green, all the good stuff. So am I eating more? Yeah, I do eat more. Again, I eat a normal plate of food but I'm not letting, the other stuff creep in to be my calorie filler.
Yeah, so. You have the perfect formula, and that's what we try to teach all our patients. We have our education and follow-up program that's delivered via email, on videos on a daily basis, and it all talks about that. This is not a surgery fix-all, it's a tool. And you've used it incredibly because you got to your weight loss goal. And then you did the next thing, which is, all right, now I'm healthy. Now I've changed my preference of foods. Now I know what really is healthy and what isn't. I mean, it's just logic. And then you started challenging your muscle mass because muscle weighs 4 times more than fat. So you may be gaining weight, but you're not gaining belly sizes or circumference. Exactly, yeah. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Well, my belt, I had to punch a new hole in it because the belt was too small. So I was like, gee, what's going on?
Like I said, I'm a little envious, man. Maybe I should go see Dr. Ortiz, right?
Yeah.
So it's a durable procedure. Now, I got to ask this, and probably we'll end with this. You're an expert in addictions, and I believe that food is an addiction, and many people. What are your thoughts on that?
I do believe food is an addictive substance, or at least the way we eat is addictive. There are foods that we know are triggering parts of the brain as much as cocaine does. Some of these really super refined sugars and things like that are really just, it's almost like, hijacking the brain, and then your brain wants more of that. My enemy in my mind is high fructose corn syrup, because it's such a easy thing to get in the body and convert to this. And our body does like carbohydrates. Our body says, oh, carbs are good. Well, some of these super simple carbohydrates are addictive. And coming off of them is challenging, and it's hard. But replacing those with some really good, I'm not a no carb guy, but it's all complex carbohydrates. It's from my fruits and vegetables.
You call it fiber. Like Lucia calls it, right? Fiber.
Right, and but by doing that, I'm nourishing my body. And when I think about what I'm putting in my body, at 51 years old, I feel 30. I don't feel 50. Boy, I was going to be sitting at home watching TV, and now I'm running races. But it's partly because I'm fueling myself with the best food I can put in me. Whether it's the, organic food, okay, that is a little bit more expensive than regular food, but boy, if I'm making all my own food, my grocery bill really isn't anything compared to what it was, because, a bag of cookies is, $6, and I tell you what, I don't pay $6 for a piece of fruit. Exactly. So it really, the cost is offset. Does organic cost a little more? Sure, it costs a little more. Am I worth it? Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well,
and I'm not on any medications. I'm not on, it's like.
Were you on medications?
Blood pressure, for sure. I was on blood pressure medications while I was here, and I was about ready to, I like my doctor referred to it as pre-diabetic.
Yeah,
isn't that just like diabetic, a little bit pregnant?
It's a little bit pregnant.
It's a little bit pregnant.
I've always said that, yeah.
I wasn't medicated yet, but I had this emergency in my brain of like,
That's metabolic syndrome, of course.
Yeah.
And 70% of the people in the world, in the modern world, are going to die from metabolic syndrome. You end up having either a heart attack or cancer, which are the biggest killers. And if that doesn't kill you, you're going to get killed by stroke or slowly die, like you were saying, from dementia or Alzheimer's. And these are the things that are killing people.
Weight is related to each one of those.
Yeah, 7 out of 10 people are going to die from something like that. And I just did surgery on a guy that was normal weight yesterday. And even my nutritionist came and was like, yeah, but he's normal weight. Yeah, but he's in his plateau, lowest plateau right now. He was 40 pounds higher. And when he was 40 pounds higher, he doesn't have to prove to me that he's struggling to keep himself at that weight. He was struggling so much, and now he's gonna go back. He said, I wanna have the surgery right now. And he didn't have to convince me, because I know he can get back to that weight and even higher weight. So a question to you, are the struggles gone?
Well, I think I just have daily struggles, but when you practice anything, it becomes second nature. So sometimes my struggles are, I'll find myself, one more chip on the table or something like that. It's like, why am I doing that? Goes back to Lucia. Are you satisfied? Satiety. So there's some minor, it's very minor.
You keep yourself on check.
I do, because I don't want to slip back, but I'll find myself starting to do those things that we've all done, from time to time, and it's like, well, that's just a habit that's not coming back for me.
So your key to success, if you were to round it off in a couple of phrases, what has been your key to success to lose the weight and keep it off?
Well, the surgery was my key to success, because I didn't have that motivation, and I think that restriction that I really felt, I still feel some restriction from the surgery, which is good. So when I'm full, like, oh, I actually feel full now. But I think some of the key to success is I plan the food that I'm going to eat. I don't go to the grocery store when I'm hungry. I pack a lunch that I take to work. I don't depend on myself. Oh, gee, what am I going to go do? Because it's easy to make a poor decision, and. So sometimes my struggle is making sure that I've planned ahead, but I'm so far into it now, a couple of years later, that I know what I'm taking for lunch. I've got my cabinets are filled with really good food, so it's like, boy, I am actually hungry. I need a quick snack. What am I going to do? Oh, I've got some strawberries in the fridge. Maybe have a couple of strawberries. If I need a snack before dinner. But it's really, I've set myself up for success. For everywhere I've turned by clearing that environment. And people in my house, it's like, if you need junk food, you go get it somewhere else. It doesn't need to be here. So I'm kind of the boss that way when it comes to that. But I try not to let those foods in the house on a regular basis, to just be there, because I don't want to mindlessly eat.
Yeah, you got to set up yourself for success, like you say. Well, you talk the talk and walk the walk. You're a true ambassador for health, for metabolic wellness, for weight loss, through weight loss surgery, and of course for OCC, because you're always recommending patients. How many patients have you sent over?
Directly and indirectly. Well, my sister, I sent her, and she came about 6 months ago. She's doing amazing. She brought her friend, but. I bet that at least a half dozen people have followed, just based on my interaction with them directly, and then indirectly on the Facebook page. People regularly, oh, I'm scared. Is it safe to go? Yeah. It's yes. Just trust the process. And you said in a video once, there's no chickens running across the
operating room. Chickens in the operating room.
Yeah.
So one of the things is that's why we've created an ambassador program. The OCC Ambassador Program is the center circle of what OCC means. I'm here to serve, and I've been doing this for 25 years, and I am so blessed to be able to bless others with what we do. And we're always striving for perfection, and it doesn't mean that if you're going outside the country, you've lost that cutting edge. We're in the cutting edge, as you know, and as a lot of people know. And ultimately, what I'm doing here is that I want to empower those special patients like yourself that have undergone this whole process and have dramatically changed their life physically and mentally to help others that are struggling in the same problem. It doesn't mean that everybody's going to end up in surgery, but there's a lot of people that can benefit from it. And there's so many preconceived notions that the fear of going outside the country, or the fear of having surgery, or the thinking that surgery is an easy way out, all these things you can attest to. No, it's not. It's like a tool that I've used that has dramatically changed your life and your outlook on life and your longevity. And that's why we created the Ambassador Program, because nobody is a better ambassador for health than somebody that's transformed his life like yourself. And of course, we're going to add some pictures of your befores and maybe videos, and if you send us some stuff so people can see what you looked like before and what you're living now.
Yeah, it's I didn't like the way that I looked. It was hard to see myself, pre-surgery. I was in Costco one day where they've got the video cameras that show their video camera system and the monitor, and I remember just like, oh, geez.
Damn, what happened?
It's like that was the before, and now it's like, who's that? It's the skinny guy.
Yeah, you're strutting now.
It's like, and I'm living the best life I can, and surgery started it. And I don't know. I think you lit the fuse on this dynamite, and and I've gone a totally different direction in my life, and I am grateful that I've got this life, and from the scared guy that was sitting in the room on day of the surgery, and you came in with a cup of coffee, and I was thinking, boy, I sure would like a cup of coffee. and
I'm blowing a little bit of the aroma towards you, and you're like, that's mean, that's just bad, that's what's wrong.
And being still a little apprehensive, impressed with the facility, but to where I am now, I would go do it again. I have zero fear of the process, and if anybody on the Facebook or YouTube wants to message me. I'm happy to talk to you, and and I'm just a regular guy. I'm not some employee of OCC saying this. I'm just, a regular.
You're an ambassador, man. An ambassador for health.
I would do it again if I had to, and I tell anybody, do it. The only thing you're going to wish is you would have done it sooner.
Yeah, that's how regrets only not doing it sooner. That's
right.
I get 100% of that.
Or for some people, waiting till it's too late. Till their health is too poor.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah, never wait, because when somebody has metabolic syndrome, when your blood pressure starts creeping up and you start needing medication for that or for blood sugar, you've been sick 20 years. Oh, yeah. It's been 20 years in the making to get to that point. So once you have symptoms, it's been 20 years of disease, and those 20 years have its effect over the body, over the vasculature, your blood vessels, etc. So, but it's reversible. Right. That's the most beautiful thing, man. If your arteries were starting to get clogged up and stuff like that, as soon as you change, 3 weeks later, all your biomarkers change, and suddenly you're like enjoying health like crazy. You couldn't run if that didn't change. And now you're running, you're marathoning, you're inspiring others. It's so awesome, man. Thank you for this segment. It's good to talk to somebody who's excited about life and the outlook on life, and
2 years later,
yeah,
still,
it
is not going away. I promise.
It's a very durable procedure, and especially when you do what you're supposed to, and you're doing a fine job of it. So, if anybody likes to, go ahead and post your questions on social media. You know the drill. We'll answer them live on the following episode. But most importantly, post your comments as well. And if you want to reach out to our inspiration today, reach out and he'll be available to answer your questions. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you again for watching. Till next time.